So in MLB The Show, I mean, in the community, we could all kind of agree that pitching is somewhat easy to pick up on, especially if you're using pinpoint. Like, there are some pinpoint motions that are kind of difficult, like the new sinker one, the splitter, but eventually you do it over and over and you get it down. But hitting is extremely, extremely challenging. It is really difficult to get down, especially for the new players who are playing MLB The Show for the first time this year. And this video is not going to be like a hitting tips video. I would watch top players on that because they're much better than me. I'm a World Series player, but I'm not a top player. That's why I haven't really done hitting tips in a couple years. So go watch that. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about some minor changes that drastically improve your hitting and even your pitching too in MLB The Show. So to sort of elaborate on myself being a World Series player, for this video that I make every year really, I like to break down my history as an MLB The Show player. So the first MLB The Show I ever got was MLB The Show 15, only being 20 years old, I never really got to experience the MLB The Show like '05 and '06. Like I'm only 20 years old. But MLB The Show 15 was the first MLB The Show that I had and I played, and I've played ever since. This is good. This is my 10th year playing MLB The Show. It's my favorite video game. It's a video game I play religiously. I love playing it. I make content on YouTube about it. Like I love it. But I have not been a good player for all 10 years. In MLB 15 and 16, I only played offline. I didn't really play online. I just wasn't good enough to even play online. I didn't even play Diamond Dynasty. MLB The Show 17 is when I got into Diamond Dynasty. And I started getting good at building my team, but I was still pretty bad online. MLB 18, I got a tiny bit better, but the gameplay was really bad that year. And then MLB 19, I made a major change, and that year was the first year I made World Series. MLB 19, I made World Series a couple times, and then after that, in MLB The Show 20, 21, 22, 23, I've made World Series almost every single season that I've wanted to. So, what was the major change, you might ask? Literally, the major change was I went from using a TV to a monitor. Yes, that is the basis of this video, is changing from a TV to a monitor. Now, some instances it might not actually be a TV to a monitor. The actual purpose of this video is to go over something called response time. What response time is with the screen, when you're playing a video game, it's the amount of time it takes for your controller, like when you press the button to do something in a game, it's the amount of time it takes in between pressing the controller, aka like performing the action, to it displaying on your screen. Not to it registering in the game, it's to displaying it on your screen. So basically in MLB The Show 15 through 18, I was playing on a TV, and the response time was pretty high. I can't give a definitive number, I don't remember it, but my response time was pretty high, meaning when I would try to hit the baseball, I would have a slight delay in my swing, and it was permanent. There was nothing I could do about it. Once I started playing on a monitor in MLB The Show 19 and moving forward, that instantly gave me a huge boost to my timing, and timing is probably super important. And it's not probably super important, it is super important for hitting. It's like probably the most important part of hitting besides like your location on your PCI. But speaking of location on PCI, the PCI, you will be able to move that quicker and respond to break in pitches as well with a slower response time. So ultimately, the main message is try to get a screen that has the lowest response time you can get. Now, there is an aspect of this video that I have to go over every year. Obviously, the slower response time is going to make your device or screen more expensive. I'm just loading into a CPU game here. The shorter the response time, the more expensive it's going to be, and that's something that I make clear every time I do this video. I do this video at the beginning of every single year, where if you're fortunate enough to be able to afford an upgrade, I would highly recommend it. Now, ultimately, you're going to be making a decision for yourself on whether you're going to be willing to spend the money and to upgrade your screen. I'm not trying to force that on you at all. I'm just highly recommending it, and this goes for all video games too. This isn't just MLB The Show. a higher response time results in much better performance than slower response times. Another thing that I just want to mention in this video, because there's not really much I can say in this video, and I want to like actually make it a legit video for my channel, is I remember, I'm just going to story tell real quick. I remember, and this relates totally. I remember after MLB 19, I was playing MLB 19 for a while. I remember I had a bunch of my friends over at my house. This was back in, MLB 19 would have been my freshman year in high school. I'm now a sophomore in college, where I had a bunch of friends over to my house, right? And we were just playing video games. And I had 2 different consoles set up on 2 different screens. Okay, come on, really gonna throw me out. I had 2 different consoles set up on my screens, right? And I remember I had my PS4 on my old TV next to my monitor. So I was playing MLB The Show on my TV for the first time in almost a year. And when I took my first swing, I noticed a huge difference, guys. Like, I instantly realized, oh my goodness, this is a huge difference. When I started hitting on a monitor for MLB 19, it was harder to notice. You know, I wanted to get monitors for my setup and for my channel anyway. That was more the purpose of it. The reason why I want to bring up this example is because if you guys decide to buy a monitor and you don't really notice it when you start hitting, like, that's normal. That's the message of the story, is it's normal to not see a huge difference when you start. It's once you have gotten used to it and then you go back to the old screen where you're like, oh my god, this is a huge difference. And I mentioned earlier how pitching is pretty easy in MLB The Show. You know, if you're new to the game and you're struggling with pitching, don't take that the wrong way. Everything is difficult at first. Like, I just said that because the focus of it is on hitting, and a lower response time will also help your pitching too, because when you're pitching with pinpoint, which I highly recommend to use if you're not, because it gives you the best control over your pitches. If you're using pinpoint, you're gonna have to trace around, like, you get what I'm talking about. Like, you trace around in order to do what you need to do. Okay, I don't know how to explain it. You trace around, you copy what it does in the motion, and then you release. And a majority of that is the timing of, like, your tracing, like your speed. You know, you'll get a yellow if it says too fast. You'll get a green if it says perfect timing. So it does help pitching too. You know, like, you're gonna get better at pitching because your response times are gonna be better. So ultimately, the purpose of this video, you know, I kind of just yapped for a while, but I just wanted to bring up that example, and I make this video every year. This video does well every year. You guys appreciate this video every year, so I'm going to keep doing it until you don't. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If I forgot anything, make sure to leave it in the comments. I love discussing this in this video. Every year there are a ton of comments that add on to the video that I really like to read and I'm very interested in. Maybe something I could upgrade in my setup to improve my gameplay. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys are new here, follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, but most importantly, make sure to subscribe right here on YouTube. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.